WNBA season. I don't know how I feel about that, Calvin. How you feeling about it?
No, it's weird. It feels like the season started 2 weeks ago, and it also started 10 years ago. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 crazy. This 2020 season. I don't know how to feel about it either, but I think I would like at least another game though. I'm gonna be honest. I'm rooting for the Aces just as a neutral fan, regardless of
Oh
my
yeah.
pick, because I want more basketball.
Yeah, I want more basketball. So go Aces. And we should also shout out to Shay Jennings, who is here, by the way. Put like you see this little like thing in the middle. Wait, it'd be on the I don't know what side it's on, but this thing in the middle looks really cool, and like the whole thing is looking really cool. So we hope you guys are enjoying the visuals. That's all Shay. Everything that shows up on the screen is Shay. Everything that gets said is me and Calvin, though. We have no editorial guides. We're just going off the dome with all of our research that we have done. If you have any questions or anything, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys, and let us know what you guys want us to talk about, because obviously, like I said, this may be the last game of the WNBA season, and we may be going for a while without basketball here. Obviously, the NBA is still going on, but women's college basketball doesn't get going until I think Thanksgiving, right
It's
around Thanksgiving,
November 25th, so
right?
over a month and a half.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, we went a while without basketball at the beginning of
We can do it again, but I'm not looking forward to it.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it again. So let's get into what's happening. Obviously, I mentioned that the Seattle Storm are on the brink of their fourth WNBA championship. It would tie them with Minnesota and Houston for the most. Actually, I got that wrong. I'll find out that information. But the Storm have beaten the Aces in two straight games. They won 93-80 in game one, and then they won 104-91 in game two. Both those scores, obviously, it's a wide margin, but I don't think the series has been that disparate, right? Like I think Owen Pence had an article in Winsider talking about how this hasn't really been a blowout, but the Aces have gotten outclassed in this series so far. So, Calvin, how has that happened to them? And you can see the stats that Shay's putting up on the boards, and it's a lot of what's happening for the Storm is on the offensive end. So, how are they outclassing the Aces so far in this series?
Yeah, well, you said it's not been a blowout. It would have been a blowout, I think, if the Aces would have played like they did in that series against the Sun. Honestly, the Aces are playing
Yeah,
better in my mind, especially on the offensive
they
end, and
really are.
they still have been losing by double digits. They obviously have been tied in the second half of both these games. The scores maybe were a little misleading. They got down 19 in one of these games and fought all the way back. But really, I mean, how the Storm are doing it is just team basketball, spreading the ball around, transition, Sue Bird finding people, the bigs beating people down the court, which is what they do because they have athletic bigs, Brianna Stewart, Natasha Howard. And the Aces just aren't getting back. I mean, the Aces are shooting great from 3-point. They're 18 for 40, which is, it doesn't make any sense for them. It's like, who is this team? They're all of a sudden shooting threes and they're making threes. They're crashing the glass, getting those offensive rebounds that we talked about in in our preview of game one. We can come back to that in a little bit, but they're getting 35% of their offensive rebounds. They're doing a lot of things well, and the Storm are still just outclassing them because the Aces can't stop them in transition, and frankly, they just can't stop them from scoring, period.
Yeah, and a lot of that starts with Brianna Stewart. The numbers are comical. The numbers have been comical in this series. She's averaging 29 and a half points per game, shooting 59.5% from the field, 62.5% from three on 8 attempts a game. She hasn't actually gotten to the line that much, but she's also pulling down 9.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, a steal, and 2.5 blocks in these two games in the finals. She wants that second finals MVP. And I also want to shout out Matt Allentuck. He had an article for his Substack where he was breaking down like all of Stewie's accolades, and the list just keeps going and going and going. And we're looking at one of the most decorated basketball players of all time, and she's only 26 years old, and she's really proving that in these finals. I mean, you watch what she's doing, and it's just everything, right? Like It's the spot up shooting, which she is the best spot up shooter in the world, in my opinion. It's flowing into spaces as a cutter. It's finding people when she's getting doubled. It's providing great defense. She's been phenomenal on both ends of the floor, like she's been all season. It's not nothing new, but man, I don't know what you do with Stewie. But you mentioned some other storm here. Obviously, I think Stewie's like on her way to a Finals MVP should they win this game tonight. But who else? Who do you think has been the second player for Seattle here? Obviously, I think they've gotten contributions from everywhere. But who's the second most important player for them so far?
Well, it's Sue Bird. She set an assist record in game 1 with 16. And if it weren't for Courtney Vandersloot, what was it, a month ago, having 18? That wouldn't have just been a finals or playoffs record. That would have tied the record period, regular season or playoffs, just a month ago. So, and then she followed that up with 10 assists in game 2. She's averaging 13 per game in the series. Like I said, she's finding people not only in the half court, but she's so good at getting her head up as soon as she gets that outlet pass. Head up, finding those bigs who are beating the aces down the court. And when I was in like 7th grade playing basketball, our coach did that. I don't know if you guys have ever had a coach do this, where you all line up on the baseline and he says, "All right, go, run," and he throws the ball, and the ball beats everyone down the court, right? Because there's no faster way to get down the court than a pass. The ball is always going to travel faster than you running or you dribbling. And Sue Bird knows that. Her head is always up. And everyone it's not just Breanna Stewart or Natasha Howard either. It's Alicia Clark. It's Jordan Canada. It's everyone on the Storm knows that when they play with Sue Bird, and knows that if they run the floor, they will get those opportunities in transition.
Yeah, and they're shooting the lights out too. When they're like that really helps Sue Bird when she can just dish it to anyone, and they're shooting whatever they want. I mean, they have a 63.6% true shooting rate, which is insane. Their offensive rating right now is 123.9. Like, look, we're making a big deal, and these stats it's small sample size theater, but there's also WNBA Finals. Like, this is a good team that they're playing, and a team that's playing at a high level, I would say.
And when you get easy layups in transition, your shooting percentage is going to be pretty high.
Yeah, no, it makes it easy. It makes it easy when they're and let's flip it over, because I think that's what you're getting at here is yes, Seattle has been fantastic, but there are things that the Aces are doing that aren't helpful. That they're not helping themselves in the series against a team that's perfect, and you're going to need to do that when you're playing a team that is this good and playing this together. They had a bunch of turnovers in these first 2 games. Their turnover rate right now is 15.6%. In last game, they have 15 turnovers to Seattle's 10. In game 1, the tally was, I'm pulling it up right
8-8,
now.
I believe.
Yeah, 8-8. And they lost the fast break points battle though. Seattle had 11 fast break points. Las Vegas had 7 fast break points. And Vegas loves to get out of transition. That's something they do more efficiently than anyone in the league. It really kickstarts their offense. So when they're giving it up and they're not getting turnovers on the other end, it creates a feedback loop for a team that in Seattle loves those feedback loops. And I think in the broadcast, they were kind of giving Bill Laimbeer slack for calling Seattle a front-running team. And I think what he meant by that was they create those feedback loops and feed on that energy better than anyone. When you're getting an easy bucket on one end and you're getting into set defense on the other, then you're getting a turnover and you're getting easy bucket, and then that keeps going and going and going. And you can't do that. So turnovers tonight are going to be huge. And I think the other thing is just D'ing up. It's hard. It's a tough task to guard the Seattle Storm. But the Aces have to find the way to do it. And I'm not entirely sure how that happens, because in game 1, it just they had Carolyn Swords out there a lot, and frankly, she played really well, but she was getting toasted by Breanna Stewart on the other end when they would have to switch to her. You look at Kayla McBride and Danielle Robinson, they can do a good job on either or Jewel Lloyd or Sue Bird, but they can't do it on both. So defensively, how does Vegas get into this series?
I think something that I think Vegas has done pretty well for a lot of the season, and I don't think they've done a very good job in this series, which, credit goes to the Storm maybe for keeping them off guard, but is switching off the ball. When they do get back in transition, because you have to pick up the first person in transition, first person picks up the ball, and you go from there. When you get in that half court offense, you have mismatches because you're not picking up, your person, you're picking up the closest person. And in order to avoid those mismatches, you have to be really good at, fly switching, some teams call it, switching off the ball, which is something I think the Aces have done pretty well at for, the good course of the season, but they haven't really been very good at it this series. And when you have the ball on the right side of the court and you have a mismatch on the left block, you have to switch that really quick. And they've been getting stuck with a lot of those mismatches, I think. So that's something I'd like to see them do. And then, like you said, turning it over, even though that's on their offense, it's something that they have to do, defensively, in the sense that if you don't turn it over, then you don't put yourself in that position in the first place for the Storm to have runouts and either get easy transition buckets or, create those mismatches. I actually thought they did a fairly good job. That first game we said it was 8-8. And when I had in my notes here that I thought they did, a much better job. They could have done better, certainly, but they did a much better job protecting the ball than they did against the Sun, who just flustered them all 5 games. And then they just went right back and turned it over basically double that amount in game 2. You really have to be in the single digits in turnover, and you have to win the turnover battle. You can't even be tied, because the Storm are going to beat you in so many other areas like shot making. They're probably going to make more of their shots than you do. So you have to win the turnover battle. You have to win the rebounding battle.
Yeah, I agree. And we're asking a lot. I know we're asking a lot because, but look, of course we're going to mention the Miami Heat. But you look at what the Heat did in Game 3 against the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm actually going to bring up Jimmy Butler in a second when we talk about what the Aces can do. Actually, let's bring him up right now. I think the way that they get back into the series is A'ja Wilson has to go crazy. A'ja Wilson has to say, we're not losing this game. Like Jimmy Butler said in Game 3 for the Miami Heat, she has to say, I'm going to do every single little thing it takes. You can send triple teams at me. You can send double teams at me. You can send however many freaking people you want at me, and I will score. So she does that. And then the larger point is everyone else has to play extremely well on the defensive end. Offensively, I think the 3-point shooting is hey, 3-point shooting is great. We need you on the defensive end, everyone. So whatever energy you have, you got to give it on the defensive end and bring it on that side. And to that end, I wonder how much Emma Cannon's going to play. She had 17 points in Game 2. Phenomenal. Extremely unexpected as well, because, I think when she signed the last week of the season.
I believe that's correct. I think she played one regular season game.
Yeah, she played like one. She was not there for most of the regular season. And she, came in, gave great offensive minutes, 8 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, an offensive rebound, 4 defensive rebounds, 2 assists. But she finishes in the box score minus 18. And while that's not indicative always, and there's a lot of noise in that stat, I did think she did not play well defensively. And she actually had a few turnovers that, I think that was just more or less like she has not been in the flow of this offense. So I'm wondering how much, Emma Cannon's going to play, and perhaps if you give Lindsay Allen some more minutes, I don't know. What do you think of how do they get to perfection from the rest of this group in terms of defensively? Because I think an offensive plan is A'ja, y'all are going to have to take us. Put us on your back and take us. The rest of the team has to be perfect defensively. So how do you get there?
Yeah, we've talked about it before. It's tough that they don't have Dearica Hamby, because she would be huge in that regard. And you brought up perfection and Jimmy Butler, right? That's what he said they need to do to beat the Lakers, is basically we got to play perfect basketball, and they finally just about did that in Game 3, and that's what the Aces are going to have to do in Game 3 as well, is basically play perfect basketball. I don't know whether you give Emma Cannon fewer minutes. So offensively, she was great, and without Dearica Hamby, it's not like Carolyn Swords is necessarily going to be, your lockdown defender either. I do want to give Bill Laimbeer credit. I think we hate on him a lot for being stubborn and kind of stuck in his ways, so to speak. I think he tried some things.
Yeah, he did.
In the fourth quarter of game one in particular, he did. We finally saw Angel at the 4, which I really
He went
appreciated.
small.
He did. Yeah. He went small. We also saw him try a zone for a possession or two.
Yes.
Which is, very, very not Bill Laimbeer like. So, I would like to see Bill Laimbeer, give him credit for trying stuff. I think that's what you need to do. You got to play some chess because, the Storm have more talent than you, and there's no way to make up that gap. Even if you had Derek Kakambi, I still think the Storm are the more talented basketball team. So you got to make up for it up here. You got to mix it up. You got to give them different looks. Maybe go back to the Heat, right? Maybe try a zone every now. The Heat have been doing a zone also. I don't even, more than I do, but over half of their possessions in the playoffs? Is that right?
Yeah, until the last game. And then they were like, well, that's not working, so we got to throw it out. So it's the same thing that Bill Laimbeer has to say. It's like, and guess what? It doesn't matter what the hell worked for us the rest of the way. We got to win tonight. So he may try a zone in that vein.
And I'm definitely, I don't want people to think that I'm saying they should just go out and play a zone for 40 minutes, that a zone is going to work and lock down the Storm. What I'm saying is that they should try different things throughout the game. And if it's working, stick with it. And if not, try something else. His stubbornness that he usually coaches with for most of the season, we didn't see that in the fourth quarter game one. And I think we need 40 minutes of try new things, Bill Laimbeer, and just throw, what's the saying? Throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
Because what you've done on defense, it hasn't worked yet. So you got to figure out some sort of way to get a cerebral advantage, and something that the Storm haven't prepared for and haven't scouted for.
Yeah, I also think there's it's gonna sound insane, but they should try to attack Breanna Stewart on defense, because that's just what's we're gonna have to do because she's a great defender and you may not get to what you need, and maybe it doesn't work, but you need to get her in foul trouble. You need to take her out of the game, because if she's there in the middle messing your stuff up and then getting on the offensive end and hitting everything, you're in deep trouble. I also think the same goes for Sue Bird. I think Sue Bird's an easier task to try to attack off the bounce. And I think you just have to say, hey, Danielle Robinson, Kayla McBride, whoever has Sue Bird on them, you got to attack her and get her in foul trouble, period. If that's what we have to do for the first 10 possessions of this game, that's what we have to do. I think that will really help them on both ends. I'm trying to think of what else they could do.
Just to build off of that point, though, before we even move on, the Aces took 5 free throws in the last game. That was one of our kind of over-unders or if-thens, whatever you want to call it, coming into game one, is Aces getting to the line because they led the league in free throw rate, getting to the line in the regular season. And that's what they do when they they feed the pain and get the ball inside and try to score at the rim. But if not, they go to the free throw line. And Angel had an and one. Asia took 4 free throws, and that's it. That's the extent of their free throw attempt. That's not going to get it done. Five free throw attempts is not going to get it done when you're the Las Vegas Aces and your team is built on getting the line against anyone, and especially, like you said, against this team where you really need to put some pressure on those players like Bird and Stewart and get them in foul trouble.
Yeah, I think I think that's definitely up there. And do you think so Bill Laimbeer said after the game the refs weren't doing us any favors, and I'm not a big ref conspiracy guy. I'm also not someone who blames the refs, because when you get there and you're playing, you have to bake in what the refs are going to do, right? Like whatever the refs are going to do is what the refs are going to do. However, I did think they did not get the benefit of the whistle in a lot of situations. And I think what was happening there, and I talked about this on Locked On Women's Basketball on Monday, I think there's a couple things happening there. I think first and foremost, this is the finals. They're going to let more contact go. I think Asia probably gets less whistles now because she is bigger. She's not going to get as much benefit as maybe, someone like Breanna Stewart, where you're always going to see her fouls because she's a little bit further away from the basket. And they were allowing more contact. The second thing is you have Seattle, who are all experienced, excellent, smart basketball players who who are also really persuasive speakers in Sue Bird, in Alicia Clark, in Brianna Stewart, and all of them are really, really good at talking. I think they just kind of wore down the refs in that first game and made a lot of good points as to what they were doing right and what they were doing wrong, and that it affected the refs' whistle in the second game. So do you think that there was that? Do you agree with Bill that they didn't get the benefit? They didn't get any favors from the officials?
I don't know, maybe a little bit. I mean, I'm with you on the, would never want to blame anything on the refs. There's definitely no sort of conspiracy theories. I mean, maybe they got some subconscious biases, and Sue Bird's almost 40. She's been in the league forever, and maybe she's going to get some calls. And like you said, she's persuaded. But I mean, you got to play through that. The refs aren't out there intentionally trying to give the Storm the finals because of optics or anything like that. You got to play through that. And going back to your point about, A'ja Wilson really just needing to go, Jimmy Butler and take over this thing, I would like to see her get to the rim more and get deep position more.
Yeah.
In order to draw those fouls, because, don't get me wrong, I love a good A'ja Wilson, one dribble pull up from the elbow. And I think she's maybe the best at it of any big that I've ever seen, to be honest, as young as she is. You got to get to the rim, though. When she catches it on the elbow, I would love to – this is where I don't know if Shay has this video or not. If not, it is what it is. But she's 5 for 8 when taking 2 or more dribbles in this series. She's 9 for 29 when she takes 1 or fewer. So when she catches it, because teams force her to catch it, far out. Shay does have this video. How good is Shay?
Yeah, no, I'm watching. The video is really cool. Way to go, Shay. If you're just joining us, this is a Her Hoop Stats pregame show. Where I'm Gabe, I'm with Calvin, but Shay's in the background. The video looks great.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Shay. Thank you, Shay. That is amazing. I don't even remember what I was talking about now because Shay just blew my mind with her production skills.
Asia's pull-ups with the 2 dribbles.
So when she catches the ball, 15 feet from the rim, she takes those 2 or 3 dribbles, either gets around her defender to the rim, or she has a nice spin move. I think she was 2 for 2 in the last game on her spin move. That's going to put the refs in position to have to make those calls, But if you're just going to take that fade away or that 1 dribble pull-up, which she loves to do, and which is effective, but it has been less effective in this series, you're not going to get as many of those calls. And if she's not going to, the other thing is she needs to get deep position more too. If she does catch it 15 feet, you got to get to the hoop. You can't be relying on those 15-foot jumpers. But you also can't be catching it 15 feet as often as you do in the first place. You got to get that deep position, and you got to get those seals down low because, again, not only are those going to be easy buckets if you're deep enough, if not, you're getting to the free throw line. You're going to take more than 4 free throw attempts in game 3, then, hopefully a lot more than that. And you're going to put the refs in position to have to make those calls. So that's what I would like to see from A'ja Wilson. If she is forced to catch it far away, get around, you can drive too. Get around your player, use your moves, use your footwork. She has good footwork, get to the rim. But even before that, first and foremost, catch it deep.
Yeah. By the way, Demo said, yo, I'm not sure if he's still watching. He's been hopping in and out. We appreciate everyone who's watching, by the way.
Back at you, Demo.
I don't. A'ja just needs to do it. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is kind of how I felt for a lot of finals games. A lot of playoff games just end up becoming. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to need to get all the points for your team. And that's bottom line. I think her and Angel, mainly her, though. Like, you're the MVP of this team. I understand that you're a young player, but you gotta do it for your team because you're playing a tremendous team. And I just don't I think it just has to be her. It has to be her. So let's see what else do I know we just got these videos working and they're really cool. So I did want to come back to Natasha Howard actually, because I know we have a video for that. And talk about what she's doing. Cause I think she was kind of one of the people we talked about in our game 1 if-thens, which probably should have looked up and written down. But we said that if Natasha Howard and Alicia Clark are going off, the series is over. And in game 2, Natasha Howard and Alicia Clark both went off. Alicia Clark was 8 for 12, 3 of 6 from 3. You've seen the Alicia Clark games. Natasha Howard, however, 9 of 10 from the field, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. This is the Natasha Howard we were waiting for all season long. The type of player who can, get inside and play like center and also attack from the perimeter. In this game, she was really, really taking it to whoever was on her, which was Emma Cannon for much of the game. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Unless Dearica Hamby was out there, she would have a favorable matchup. And because you have Brandon Stewart, who needs to be covered by Asia Wilson, and you don't really want to put Angel McCautry in that position because she's not a very strong defender. So Natasha Howard had her way. And I was really encouraged to see her play to the potential that we saw in her last season. 21 points is not her game, but I thought she did really well in it. So do you think that she can do it again tonight?
I don't think she's going to get 21, but I think our over-under, if I remember correctly, was 13 on her. Right. She's averaging 13 and a half, right at that line. I think she can do that again tonight. She can get 13 plus. And I think I said this, going into game one, but if she does get that number, if she's in the teens, really the only way the Aces are winning is if Stewie has one of those uncharacteristic off nights that I think we saw in game 1 and game 2 against the Lynx, where she shoots 7 for 20 or 8 for 22. Certainly haven't seen that yet. So if you have your Stewies and your Sue Birds going off and you get that type of production from Natasha Howard, it's over. But I have really liked what I've seen from Natasha Howard. You mentioned, not putting Angel on her because Angel's not a very strong defender. I do agree. However, I think in the same way, you ask Asia to step up and say, hey, listen, you just got to do it. You got to find within whatever it is on the offensive end and just go put the team on your back. Angel has played 11 finals games now. We talk about, all the time on the show how she's maybe the best player ever without a ring. She's lost all 11 of them. I think you got to ask Angel to step up on the defensive end. I think you got to at least try a minute or two stretch with her on Natasha Howard and whoever she's on. I think you got to get more out of her. So, listen, if you do not want to go to 0-12 in your finals career, you got to step up on this end of the floor. Our team needs you because we brought you in to be one of the top 2 or 3 players and one of the leaders on this team. And we're getting that out of you on one side of the floor, and we need that out of you on 2 sides of the floor. So that's something that I would like to see from Angel tonight as well.
I imagine she's going to go. I mean, I think she's probably going to have a big game because she needs it.
Tonight as well.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think she wants to go 0-12 in her finals career. I think she wants at least a game. Like, getting swept is not a fun feeling. So I imagine we're going to see full force Angel, full force Asia. And you know what? Let's make a prediction now. I know we're like 30 minutes before game time. But let's make a quick prediction. Who you got tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN?
Well, I've been telling you how the Aces were my pick until they show me otherwise. This whole season, I do think I have to change my pick for the series at this point. No one's come back 0-2 yet. I don't think it's happening in the series. I'm still going to go with the Aces to salvage a game tonight. I'm going to go with the Aces to get game 3. I think the Storm will take it in 4. And they're going to get their 4th championship. I'm going to go with the Aces in a close game tonight to salvage to avoid the sweep.
Okay. So I was going to go, I've waffled so much on this. Like, my original pick on our pregame show on Friday was Seattle in 4. My pick after that at some point was Seattle in 5. And now I think I'm settling back into Seattle in 4. But that doesn't mean that the Aces win tonight. And I think they will. I think they just have too much pride. And I did get thrown off a little bit because Ben Dole just tweeted out a stat that six WNBA finals have gone 2-0, and they've all ended in sweeps. And that's terrifying for me. But I agree. I just think that the Aces, they have too much on the line to not win this game. They gotta burn the boats, to borrow a phrase from the Miami Heat. If burning the boats means you don't leave yourself an option to retreat, and they don't have any option. There's no other option in this season but to win. If you lose, the season is over. So I think they'll come out with that energy. I think they'll find something defensively that works. Maybe it's a zone. Maybe it's bludgeoning Brianna Stewart. That was one of my thoughts, was like, hey, I don't know, like just knock her around a bit like she's Steph Curry. So I think they'll find a way. I think they will win tonight's game. However, let's talk a little bit, if in case they do not win tonight's game and the season's over tonight. Let's talk about what it would mean for Seattle to win this finals. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, Seattle would tie the Houston Comets and the Minnesota Lynx as the two franchises with the most finals victories, as they would all have 4. They would also be 4-0 in the finals all time, winning in 2004, 2010, 2018. The crazy part to me is that Sue Bird would then have championships in 3 different decades. No WNBA player has ever done that. Only 2 NBA players have ever done it. Do you want to guess, or do you want me to just tell you?
Give me a minute. We got time, right?
Yeah, we got time. I'll continue talking.
Well, let me stop you for a second. The Pistons won back to back, right? In was it 89 and 90? That
a player from that team is one of the people, but it's not because they won in the 89 and 90. But yes, one of those players is on there.
John Sally.
Yes, he was on those teams, the 96 Bulls and the 2000 Lakers.
See one of them.
And then there's a fighter jet going over my house. Great signs. But the other one is Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan also won finals in 3 different decades.
I don't know why I got John Sally and not Tim Duncan. That
right?
doesn't make any sense.
It's the weirdest grouping of people you could ever put together. I know we have a lot of WNBA fans that don't cross over to the NBA, but John Sally, Tim Duncan, and Sue Bird, I promise you, is the weirdest grouping of basketball players in any stat. Because like Sue is definitely the coolest person out of actually John's really cool. John's just insane and like a crazy party person. Like John and Dennis Rodman used to hang out a lot together. A big reason as to why Dennis Rodman became who Dennis Rodman is and was is because he hung out with John Sally. And then, Tim Duncan has never showed emotion for anything. And then you have Sue Bird, who's like the coolest, chillest person, I think, on the planet. So, but she would have 4 titles in 3 different decades and was a major piece in all of them. You can't say that about John Sally. You can say that about Tim Duncan, but she was a major piece in all of them. And I just don't. Sue's legacy to me is among the greatest in sports, period. Not just basketball, not just the NBA or the WNBA. I'm talking sports, period. This player's been playing for 17 years. She's 30. She's going to be 40 when? In like 2 weeks?
Like next week.
Yeah. I'll get her exact days.
Yeah, let's do her justice. Let's get her exact.
October 16th. She's 10 days away from her 40th birthday. And she's still putting up double-digit assists in the finals, right? Like, it's incredible what she is doing. She's averaging 13 assists in the WNBA finals. Really, the only comparisons I can think of in sports are like Tom Brady. I don't even know. I can't think of a
maybe Nolan
Ryan, perhaps. Lisa Leslie had so many great years, but she also entered the league a little later than Sue did. I don't know. I can't think of a WNBA player who comes close in terms of this type of thing where it's like in the finals, her legacy is bar none. So for Sue, I know I said a lot about Sue. Let's flip it over to Stewie, though. I know we had a video going about Stewie, and it was beautiful and lovely. Thank you, Shay. But what would Stewie's legacy like? What would this mean for Stewie's legacy in terms of if she wins and they win and she wins Finals MVP?
Well, it might be, she's 26. It might be a little bit too early to start the GOAT conversation, but is it?
When you
I don't
when you look
know.
at the list of stuff she's done,
That's the thing. I don't, it may be too early, but I don't know if it is too early.
right.
The one thing is, the WNBA is a young league still. They're in year 24. If you're talking about a league, like some of the men's leagues that have been around for 70, 80, 90 years,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, that you're not going to be in that GOAT conversation in your mid 20s. But
Right.
the WNBA is a young enough league. I'm not sure if it is too early to start having this conversation, especially if they finish off the sweep tonight. She wins finals MVP. And I mean, that would be her last 2 years. She didn't play last year. So that would be,
Mm-hmm.
in essence, back-to-back finals MVPs for her in terms of when she actually played. I think she's right there. I think it might be time to start talking about that.
I think she enters into it. I think Cynthia Cooper is still Cynthia Cooper, Maya Moore, Taurasi's there. I mean, Taurasi to me, I love Taurasi, but it's not the same. Tamika Catchings,
And I
Taurasi
want
is
to clarify, I'm not calling Stewie the
no,
GOAT
but she entered.
yet,
Yeah,
but she's entered the chat is the
yes,
point.
yes, I
Stewie has
love
entered
that.
the chat.
I really like that. Yes, Stewie has entered the chat when she gets the second finals, if she gets the second finals MVP, because there's only, I'm gonna count them up right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 players in WNBA history with multiple finals MVPs. Of course, Cynthia Cooper has 4 of them. It's a little unfair.
It's
Cynthia
also
Cooper has
unfair
4.
because she was, what was she, like 35 when the league first
Yeah.
started? I mean, imagine if she had been able to play, a full career starting
Yes.
at age 22. I mean, there might be no contest. So you're right. It's unfair in a lot of ways to Cynthia Cooper.
Lisa Leslie has 2, Diana Taurasi has 2, and Sylvia Fowles has 2 as well. Maya Moore has 1, Tamika Catchings has 1. But yeah, I think you're right. If she gets this, she enters the chat, and then when you consider all of her college accolades as well, which I think in basketball, because of the way we do our Hall of Fames, there's not just a professional basketball Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. So I think you have to include that college stuff, and she's obviously one of the greatest college players to ever walk on this planet. So that's all great and good and happy and wonderful, and we're stoked for Seattle. However, they do have question marks going forward, and we're going to have plenty of time to talk about free agency, but we want to take a beat right now and just ask the question of how much this team is going to stay together. Sue Bird is out of a contract next year. She may be retiring. I'm not saying she's going to leave. Just saying she's out of a contract, so she's going to either get paid or retire. Natasha Howard and Alicia Clark are also free agents. I'd assume this team stays together. They'll have space probably to keep this team together, but if another team comes and offers Natasha Howard the max, it might be tough. It might get iffy. So do you think this team is gonna be able to stay together for more and more years? And if they do, are they still at that championship level?
I mean, I think they want to. The question is, Sue Bird. I don't know Sue Bird, but I mean, she, if they win tonight, she could ride off into the sunset and retire on top and, have her storybook ending. But she's also the type of player who could decide to play 10 more years because she's Sue Bird. So
Right.
Who knows? She's not going to go to another team. But
right.
I think, if she comes back, I think the team wants to stay together. I think Natasha Howard and Alicia Clark are going to want to stay together and continue this run. They have really good chemistry and they play really well together. The core has been together now for, Sue Bird said it the other night, since Stewie's rookie year. Basically, this is they've had about a half decade almost now with this core together, and I think they like playing with each other. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speak for what decisions people are going to make, and most notably Sue Bird. Whether she's even going to continue her career or not. I would like to see them stay together. I think they're fun to watch, but it's got to end sometime. So it'll be an interesting offseason for sure.
I think it will. I'm assuming they're going to stay together. It's just like Tashara could just say, hey, I want a new challenge. I want to be the front option on a team. I want to be that person because she enjoyed that last year, and she won't be that with Brianna Stewart. And I'm also going forward, if Sue retires, is Jordan Canada ready? I'm not sure we've seen we haven't seen Jordan Canada be someone that we can just say, oh, she's going to step into Sue Bird's place and they're not going to miss a beat. Maybe, maybe not. So I think this team has some question marks going forward. Obviously, Las Vegas gets much better next year if everything goes to plan, right? They have Kelsey Plum coming back. She's under contract. Derica Hamby's under contract. Angel McCautry's under contract. Liz Cambage needs a new contract, but do you pay Liz Cambage?
McBride is going to be the big question mark.
Kayla McBride's a big question mark. And Danielle Robinson as well has proven to be a massive part of this team. So I'm not sure if either of those players are going to be back, but Asia, Plum, McCautry, Hamby, and if Liz Cambage is playing in the WNBA, she's likely playing for the Las Vegas Aces. That's a hell of a team. So they may be stronger next year if all things go according to plan. And we're going to have a hell of a year next year. But this year's not over yet. As we predicted, we both predicted an Aces win coming up at 7 p.m. in about 15 minutes on ESPN. If this is the last WNBA game of the season, we want to thank everyone for joining us, for reading our coverage on Her Hoop Stats, for following the Twitter at Her Hoop Stats, following us on Twitter at Gabe_Ibrahim, following Calvin on Twitter at CWetzel31, and hanging out with us. I mean, we're going to do this in the college season, but it does kind of feel like an ending, right?
It's a little sad, I hope
it is a little sad,
but it's been a fun ride. It's been fun doing these with you, Gabe. I appreciate you and Shay. Shay has been phenomenal.
The only person doing work
behind the curtain there. So definitely been fun hanging out with you guys, and also all of our thousands of viewers out there. It's been fun hanging out with you guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to keep doing this during college season. It's going to fly by, a month and a half, and we're going to be right back talking about the WNBA players of the future.
Yep, and we will be talking. Hopefully we'll be back on the what would be game. Sorry, I'm gonna look this up. Game 4 is on Thursday. So maybe we'll be back on Thursday night to talk some hoops with you guys. And if not, we'll be back for something. Don't worry about it. You'll see us soon. But anyways, have a great time tonight. Hell, go Aces. We all want the season to continue. We're not ready. We're not ready for the season then. Go Aces.
No one's unbiased. Lady Aces.
The only time you're going to hear us just say, hey, we want a team to win is tonight. Aces win, so we do not have to stop talking about real WNBA basketball, but we're never going to stop talking about WNBA here on Her Hoop Stats. So y'all have a great day, and we will talk to you